All right, welcome along to Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players that have been linked with a January transfer move to the Arsenal. And kicking off today with, well, let's hear what Arsene Wenger had to say yesterday. He said that not signing a defender in this January transfer window would be too risky. Those were the words of Arsene Wenger himself. And you know what? It was too risky in the summer not to sign a defender, and we didn't do it, and we have paid a heavy price. As I keep saying, show after show, we cannot afford to make that mistake twice. And it seems like Arsene Wenger is well aware of that himself. And we've been linked with a lot of different defenders. One of the defenders that keeps coming up day after day is Hector Moreno. Now, Hector Moreno, we've spoken about him before on the show. He plays for Espanyol at the moment. He's said to want to move away, wants to move, obviously, to a much bigger club than Espanyol. And he is very much interested in a move to Arsenal. Now, Moreno, we're being told, would cost about £6 million, £5 to £6 million. We're being told that Arsenal are very, very interested in Moreno. So could this be a deal that could happen this January transfer window? And what is the likelihood of it? There's got to be a good shout on this one. Moreno, he's experienced. He plays at the moment, as I said, for Espanyol. He's also a Mexican international and would be able to come straight in and do a job at Arsenal, although he wouldn't be, obviously familiar with the Premier League. But Moreno is a defender of vast experience that Arsenal are really looking at, really interested in. So we're going to have to watch this space on that one. Hector Moreno, interesting Arsenal a lot at the moment. Another player we're being told today that are interested in Arsenal, and again, this is not the sort of player that inspires Arsenal fans when we look at stuff, but he goes by the name of Antonio Sanabria. Now, Antonio Sanabria is only 18 years of age, and that's why it won't inspire Arsenal fans, because he's another youngster, Uruguayan. Currently plays his football at AS Roma, but he previously was at Barcelona. He was at Barcelona, one of the products of their youth academy. And Arsene Wenger has apparently been interested in quite a while, but Roma sort of stole a march and they brought him in. But he hasn't really been able to break into the Roma team, and it hasn't really been that successful for him at Roma. And they'd be willing to sell, and Arsenal are willing to bring him in. He's a striker, by the way. Again, this is another one of those for the future signings that a lot of Arsenal fans at the moment don't like. We don't want for the future signings, although, listen, those sort of signings are very important. But I think a lot of Arsenal fans are looking for a player that's going to come in now and make an impact at the club. And Sanabria, you would have thought it wouldn't be that. And we've already got Yaya Sanogo that falls into that sort of bracket. But apparently Arsenal interested in this kid, Antonio Sanabria. Another player that again has come on the radar is Mario Suarez. Now, Mario Suarez is a defensive midfielder. He plays at the moment for Atletico Madrid. Played quite a lot last season, was quite a big part of their team that did so well last season, but hasn't really got a lot of game time this season, not as much as he would have liked. Very, very decent player, this guy. And I was actually watching him the other night, and when they played against Real Madrid, and he looked pretty decent. Nothing spectacular, but he looked pretty decent there in the holding midfielder position. Now, we're being told that Atletico Madrid would be willing to sell him. There seems to be quite a few clubs that are interested in him. Arsenal more interested in a loan deal, if at all. If they want to make this happen, they're more looking on it and saying a loan deal is more what they'd be up for. Because I think how Arsenal are looking on this defensive midfielder position is maybe they're going to go big on it in the summer when there's sort of more targets available, more of those sort of real top quality targets will be available. I think that's sort of how Arsenal looking at it. So if they're bringing somebody at the moment, it's more to sort of cover Mikel Arteta. So if they did move for Mario Suarez, I think Arsenal will be more up for getting him in on loan rather than bringing him in for a transfer fee. But Atletico Madrid are more, you know, saying that if we do let this guy go, we want a fee for him. And there are a few clubs interested in him. But his name keeps popping up day after day that Arsenal are very interested in bringing him into the club as cover there in that defensive midfielder position. Another player that this one again seems to feature day in, day out is Marcelo Brozovic. He plays for Dinamo Zagreb, Croatian international. He's been described as the new Xavi. And we've been told today that Arsenal have made another £5 million bid for him. This guy is coming up day after day. I keep thinking to myself, why would Arsenal need to sign this player right now? But we've been told now that Arsenal have made a couple of bids for him. They're really, really interested in bringing him in. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's a creative midfielder, sort of box-to-box type player, and quite creative, attacking. And that's, you know, we've been told that Arsenal have made a few bids. There's definitely something in this one. It's kind of surprising because we've got so many midfielders at the moment, but Arsenal, you know, probably has been a long-term target, and they're thinking to themselves, we've got to move now for this guy. But Marcelo Brozovic, we're being told is a top target for Arsenal, and that we've made a couple of bids, and we're really going to have to watch this space on that one to see what happens. Some really intriguing news as well that I was reading about yesterday was the fact that as we play Manchester City, the fact that Manchester City tried to sign Alexis Sanchez. They wanted to sign him in 2011. They were very interested in him when he was at Udinese. I remember Arsenal being interested in him at that time, but City apparently went and bid for him, but Alexis decided to go to Barcelona instead. Now, and we've brought him in now. Now, I'm so glad that didn't happen. Mancini apparently at the time was trying to bring him in. So glad that didn't happen, because Alexis really is a real talisman and real #1 player at the club. And imagine him at Manchester City with Aguero. He'd be there now with Pellegrini, who's also from Chile as well. He'd be really flourishing there. That would be a nightmare having to face him, Aguero and Alexis in the same team. But luckily, we've got Alexis Sanchez. We'll touch on that game in a second. Just before we do, I've got to also tell you about Francis Coquelin. Now, Francis Coquelin, he's done a great job in the past few games. Where he's been all this time with what he's done. I mean, he's always been a prospect at Arsenal. He's come up through the youth academies. He's come up with the likes of players like Wilshere, etc. And there was always big things sort of considered for Coquelin. You know, Wenger really, really liked him, but he just didn't do it. He went out on loan to Charlton, and you know, did decently over there at Charlton. Looks like it's something that's really got his head down, and he's really concentrated on his game, and he's come back. And the last 4 games that he's played for Arsenal, he's been absolutely brilliant in that defensive midfielder position. He's been dynamic. He's passed the ball well. He's tackled well. I mean, the big test is going to be today against Manchester City. That's going to be the big test for Coquelin. But certainly, he hasn't let nobody down so far. And we're being told now that he's about to be offered a new contract at Arsenal. You wouldn't think he, you know, you think he's quite old, because he seems to have been around at Arsenal for quite a long time. But he's only 23 years of age, and he really has a big opportunity here, really, to cement his position in that defensive midfielder slot. And he's doing a great job at the moment. And as I said, his contract is due to run out in the summer. Arsenal keen to tie him down, and we're being told that they're about to offer him a new 3-year contract. And good on him. I like to see a player come back, work hard, fight hard for his position. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was thinking, why didn't Frimpong as well? If he'd have got his head down, he could be in the same position right now, because he was probably ahead of Coquelin in that defensive midfielder position. But Coquelin, well done to him. Looks like he's secured himself a new contract at Arsenal, and let's hope that he can be that defensive midfielder for years to come, that he can be the answer to the position. You never know. Let's see what happens. Manchester City today, it's a big game. It's a tough game. Oh, I really don't even know what to think about this game, because we just got such a poor record against these teams that have been above us over the last few years. It would be a massive stepping stone if Arsenal could get some sort of result out of this game. Alexis is going to have to be at his best. Players like Aaron Ramsey is going to have to be at his best. Giroud, all of these guys are really going to have to step up. Santi Cazorla, this is where we need them to have a big game. If we could possibly get a win today, it will be such a psychological boost. We really can't afford to lose it, especially with Tottenham winning yesterday, Liverpool, Man United, Southampton. It was like a nightmare day yesterday where all those teams won. So Arsenal really need to get either a draw or a victory out of the game today. So good luck to Arsenal. It's going to be tough, but you never know. If all of the players step up, we can do it. The good thing about today is that there are a lot of players that have been out injured that are back. So let's see what we can do up there at Manchester City. Very tough place to go to Etihad, but they're not unbeatable.